Welcome to Labs Unleashed, a podcast from Lehigh University Campus Safety, where ideas are free to run, conversations are real, and curiosity is always encouraged. Hi, I'm Chad Bruckner. I'm a detective with the Lehigh University Police Department, and I'll be your tour guide as we explore the people, stories, and ideas shaping campus safety and life here at Lehigh. This podcast is about the humans behind the work, the thinkers, builders, and change makers who move our community forward. My goal is simple: to inform, engage, and build trust with you across campus. Labs Unleashed comes to you through the lens of campus safety, but the conversations go far beyond policy and procedure. We'll talk about everything from emergency call boxes to the inspiring individuals creating real impact here at Lehigh. Wherever you're at, our aim is to meet you there with content that's educational, relatable, and genuinely interesting. You'll hear less about polished outcomes and more about the process, curiosity, and moments that spark real change. The name Labs Unleashed carries special meaning for us. It honors Lehigh's beloved dogs, Grace, Scout, and Claire, our iconic Lehigh Labs, whose warmth and presence symbolize connection and care. It also reflects the spirit of this campus, a place where people are encouraged to think boldly, speak honestly, and engage without scripts. Here, labs aren't just rooms filled with equipment. They're spaces where ideas are tested, challenged, and even sometimes turned upside down. This is where innovators get unleashed, to talk honestly, think boldly, and share stories behind their work. More than a podcast, Labs Unleashed is a platform for connection, transparency, and shared responsibility. Guided by the same heart embodied by Grace, Scout, and Claire, we're here to inform, inspire, and elevate the lived experiences of our campus community. So join us and let's unleash the best within us together. Welcome to Labs Unleashed. Today we introduce you to someone whose story isn't just about football, but about discipline, resilience, and the long road it takes to become who you were meant to be. His name is Trey Tremba. Trey's journey begins in Pennsylvania's Lehigh Valley at Parkland High School, where Trey quickly distinguished himself, not with noise, but with consistent play. Trey was a two-sport athlete, excelling in both football and track. On the track, his speed set him apart, running times that placed him among the best in the state. But it was on the football field where Trey's impact was undeniable. As a running back and slot receiver, Trey was a constant presence, reliable, productive, difficult to contain, and a great teammate. Over the course of his final 2 high school seasons, Trey rushed for more than 3,000 yards and scored 63 touchdowns, both as a running back and a receiving threat. But numbers like that only tell part of the story. The rest is found in how Trey earned those achievements, through preparation, discipline, and a willingness to do the work, day after day, without the shortcuts. And that same commitment extended beyond the field. Trey graduated high school with a 3.8 GPA, a reflection of the same focus and accountability that defines his play on the field. It was enough to earn Trey a spot at the United States Military Academy at West Point. It's a place where expectations are high and the margin for error is small. There, Trey faced a new challenge, competing within a deep and talented roster, and it wasn't easy. But rarely is it easy for those of us pursuing something meaningful. Like so many athletes, Trey carries a dream to continue playing college football. And chasing that dream demands more than talent. It requires patience, sacrifice, and the humility to embrace a role by supporting others, being what coaches often refer to as a glue guy. Somebody who strengthens the team in ways that don't always show up on a stat sheet. Now that journey brings him to Lehigh University. It hasn't been a straight line, but most meaningful paths in life rarely are. As John Lennon once wrote, "Life is what happens while you're busy making other plans." And for Trey Tremba, every step, every challenge, every adjustment has led him here to Lehigh. Maybe this was always the destination, or maybe it's just the next leg of his journey towards something greater. Either way, Trey's story is still being written, and this fall we'll all be watching. We can best reach our goals when we become the people we were born to be. No excuses, and we deploy grit and fortitude. That's how Trey shows up. Let's give him a warm welcome on the Labs Unleashed podcast. We're excited for you to hear his story, of perseverance, dedication, and a love of football. Enjoy this conversation with Trey. Trey, what's up, man? Thanks for being here.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks for having me.
This is a big honor. People don't realize, I've been following your story for a little while. I mean, you're a Parkland grad. I live in Parkland. My kids go to Parkland. They play sports. And, it's an honor for you to be here. And the whole story of how you got to Lehigh, that's what we're going to get into today. I just think it's fascinating, I'm a believer that paths are not linear. If it was, that would be awesome. But journey and the journey of life is just, but we keep moving and we get to where we need to get to. So what was it like for you growing up in the Lehigh Valley? Your whole life lived here, right?
Yeah, I lived here my whole life. It was great. I played in all kinds of sports, made a lot of friends, and got to compete a lot in the big population that we had at Parkland.
Yeah. So. The Lehigh Valley and Parkland especially, it's a huge school. Is it hard to stand out there?
I'd say so, yeah. You really need to work hard and put yourself out there and stand out as an athlete for sure.
When you're an athlete, and I think this is fascinating, talk about culture, team culture, and fitting in, being a good teammate. Talent isn't enough. I'm curious what your perception on this. Being a good teammate, being respectful to coaches, look them in the eye, being one of the first ones there, last one, all that matters plus your talent. Have you seen people try to rely on their talent as you played sports and you realize you need more than talent to be successful?
Exactly, yeah. That's something I found out when I went to Army as well. You can't just be talented. You have to really focus on the fundamentals and every little detail matters.
What was that like at Army? I mean, I imagine at Parkland, your whole life growing up, you're probably the best one on the field. Running for all these touchdowns, scoring, setting track, PRs and being state, being all that whole. And then you go to Army and you're buried on the depth chart. What's that feeling like for somebody that was a star player and then they go into a situation where the talent didn't go away? You probably even got better, but now you're in a situation where also everybody else is a really good athlete. How did you deal with that? Yeah.
It's definitely an experience I think every college athlete has. Once you get there, you realize not just your athleticism will help you get on the depth chart. So I realized every little detail is gonna matter, and I got to focus on every little thing. And then once I was on the bottom of the depth chart, I had a friend that played a lot, so I kind of stuck with him, and I supported him, and I tried to be the best friend I could be for him. And then I was on the scout team, so I tried to do my best to get the team ready to play that week. And
how important do you think it is to be a good teammate?
I think that's the biggest thing. Brotherhood is the biggest thing on the team, and if you don't have that, if you're not a good teammate, you're not gonna have a team.
I'm a big believer in organizational culture. Yeah. I think, and I've worked in cultures that were really high as a military and police. I've worked in cultures that were not, and toxic and bad. And I imagine sport teams, I also was a former athlete, sports is very parallel to team building, organizational culture. How important do you think organizational culture is in a locker room or on the football field? Maybe you have a toxic coach or you have a really encouraging, empathetic coach pushing you. How important are those differences and how do they affect your play?
I think mentally that's one of the biggest things that I noticed being at Army. It was kind of there was 180 guys on the team. You couldn't get as close, and I didn't feel as accepted by the coaches. The coaches were probably harder on us, less friendly with us, I'd say. And coming to Lehigh, Coach Warren, I feel he could just be one of the guys. He just acts it's a very friendly setting, and it's very accepting and welcoming. And
why do coaches feel like they have to be hard? Why can't you be disciplined? And this is just we're going to go off the rails a little bit because I'm also a coach and super empathetic and push these kids. Doesn't mean the standard's lowered. It doesn't mean we're not disciplined, but I don't need to yell at you to get the message across. I can talk to you, lead by example, demonstrate, model, and then empower you to do that over and over again and give you opportunities. Why do coaches have to be so hard? I guess I don't understand that.
I guess that's the old time culture that they have.
Yeah, they think that means success. Yeah. Do you think there's ego involved with that too? I'm not saying Army, but just coaches in general, when they're not the most team friendly, is it just they're focused on their career and trying to be successful? Yeah,
that's definitely a big thing in college. Every play that we make is affecting their career. Yeah. So their careers depend on us. So I can understand it for sure.
Yeah. All right, let's see. So you played track and football growing up. Any other sports?
I was powerlifting. That was a winter thing. The football team had us do powerlifting. And I did baseball and baseball and wrestling until my freshman year. I stopped doing that. Man.
So every season you're doing multiple things pretty much. Wow. Did you burn out at all, or was that stressful, or you just enjoyed it so much?
I think it was fun to just have something new to do every season. Wrestling was definitely the sport I get burnt out the most because it was just the hardest. But I enjoyed having a different variety of sports to play.
That's cool. Wrestling's huge here at Lehigh, so it's fun. I actually met a few of the wrestlers just being a cop here and being outgoing and talking to them, and it's cool to be a part of this ecosystem and support athletes. Like athletics here is important as well as academics, so I'm excited to watch you this fall. All right, so what was your motivation to, you get ready to graduate? When did you sign with West Point, or how'd that process go?
So they recruited me, and I got offered as a junior. I think in my junior year summer, I got an offer to go there, and then I visited a couple times and finally signed, like halfway through my senior year to go there. But I made the decision before my senior year that I was going to commit there.
My son Lucas, he's a sophomore Parkland. When that happened, he's a military, patriotic family. He showed me on Instagram this picture. This was kind of before I knew who you were. He was telling me, he's like, "Dad, look at this picture of Trey Tremba. He's getting ready to graduate, got the American flag." And he was so enamored with it. I got to be honest, I was. You don't see younger generations that patriotic anymore unless you grew up in a family like that. It's just, I get it. Like, that's the way it is. And I think we're losing our fabric of this country. But what was the motivation for you choosing Army? I'm sure it's got to be more than football.
Yeah, so my dad was a Marine and a state trooper for 22 years. So growing up and seeing him, he was on the SWAT team, so he kind of was like a hero vision for me. And I got to see him do that stuff, so I kind of got motivated to give it a try. And I always wanted to go and see what it was like to be in the military. So I figured it was an opportunity I didn't want to pass up, because I would always regret if I didn't do it. Saying
yes to things is important, even if it doesn't work out. What was that like growing up with a father who's a state trooper? There's a lot of work, right? A lot of shifts.
Definitely a lot of discipline. He was hard on us when he needed to be, and he taught us the lessons that we needed to be taught. And there would be nights where he had his pager on him all the time, and he would get calls, and we knew he was going out to get a bad guy. But to us, it was inspiring to see for sure.
That's cool. Is he retired now?
He's retired now.
Nice. Is he doing anything fun with his retirement?
He's still working. He's working until my mom retires.
Gotcha. Yeah. That's cool. Yeah. So having that experience, I mean, you had military and police. Yeah. So my kids can relate to that. My wife's terrified about him going to the military because I don't push him, but I think he feels it. He sees my pictures hanging up.
Exactly.
Do you want to make your father proud? And so I'm trying to tell him, maybe track can be an option in college or something. But military this day and age is crazy. So being in Army, committing to Army, and then realizing this might not be the place for me. What would just walk us through that process mentally, emotionally, logistically? Was it hard for you to make those decisions?
Yeah, so I'll just start from the day I got there. Obviously, the first day of boot camp is gonna be complete culture shock. And I remember the first night there, I didn't sleep at all. I was like, what did I do? And then, but you kind of accept it, and then you accept it's reality. So I made it through boot camp, made it through my whole plebe year, and it was difficult being away from home because I was always very close to my family. I'm a very, very big family guy. So not being able to just have family dinners every night and only going home once or twice every month or two, it kind of stinks. So, but finally realized that I talked to my parents finally because I was not happy there. I didn't have much passion for what I was doing, and then finally talked to my parents, and they kind of just put it in my head. I'm not stuck there. I can always join the military later if I want to. And I can have a normal college experience. This doesn't need to be my college experience.
Yeah, that's interesting. So that family support's important.
Correct.
Yeah. If you don't have that, you're going through life making decisions on yourself and making mistakes along the way, probably more than you need to if you had support. So you got to go to boot camp?
It's cadet basic training. It's
I didn't realize
7 weeks long. Yeah.
Where's that at?
It's at West Point.
Okay.
So.
Is it you do rifle, marching, all that, push up, PT?
All that stuff, yeah. Wow. It's wake up at 4:30 in the morning and you're doing something constantly all day. You get zero break, Monday to Sunday.
I went in the Army Infantry at 17, and I remember leaving home from PA, never left PA except to go to the Jersey Shore during the summer with my buddies or my family. And I remember being in Fort Benning, Georgia, talk about culture shock. And I was like, what did I do? And the drill sergeants are screaming as I was infantry, so you know, the part of the motto was like shoot, move, communicate, kill. It was like our mission was to kill or capture the enemy. It just, they have to break you down as a boy and build you up as a soldier. And it was just, what an interesting, wild process. So I relate to, and I give you credit, like you're trying to focus on football and then sprinkle in military stuff. Like, wow, not easy. And the athlete's journey, I don't think we think about this a lot or talk about it, going away from home, still trying to be a higher performer while you're homesick, while you're trying to adjust. Can't be easy. Can't be easy. All right. So we talked about a teammate earlier, being a good teammate, how important that is. Tell me about your mentors in your life. You know, who was a mentor? Who helped you get through some situations, good or bad, but just help, you know, navigate? Do you have those? Imagine your dad or other people.
I mean, obviously my dad, I talked to him about him a little bit, but like when it comes to being a good teammate, I say my mom kind of showed me how to like sacrifice for other people the most. When she had me and my brother, I have a sister as well, but when she had me and my brother, she like stopped her job for 10 years. She was a school teacher, so she sacrificed her career to take care of us at home. And you know, just seeing everything she does every day for us, and sacrificing her own time and her own interests to better us is.
Mama Tremba's a real one.
Yep.
Huh? Any other mentors, football or just military?
I'd say I had an older brother, Ty. He's 2 years older than me, and like I got to grow up playing football with him and seeing him, and he was a great leader. He had a great season, a great career at F&M, Franklin Marshall College, and my biggest motivation to get better as a football player was so I could play as a younger player on the team with him and catch passes from him. So.
Oh, he's a quarterback?
Yeah, he was a quarterback.
Did you guys end up playing together?
We ended up playing. He played as a junior, and then I got to come up as a freshman. But like it was the COVID season, so we didn't really get. I caught a couple passes from him, like maybe like one or two. But then my sophomore year, I was starting to play much more. But he ended up getting hurt his senior year. So.
What was his injury?
He broke his collarbone, so he got
out the whole year.
Yeah, he got like 2 games and then out for the year. Oh, so that really hurt.
Was that tough for the family and for Ty?
Yeah, that was a low point for the family for sure.
Senior year, right? It's like it's supposed to be the greatest experience. What was your senior year like?
I was fortunate enough to have a pretty good senior season.
Yes, you did. What was just that experience? You know, you're being a high school kid, very much a kid, right? A young man, but you're in the high school. I'm sure people were like, "It's Trey," or "Trey's doing awesome." Was that an adjustment? Like, well, why are we getting all this love?
It would be funny, yeah. Just like walking in the halls and like having people like yell my name out and stuff like that.
Was that embarrassing, or did you like it?
Not really, no.
Yeah,
it's cool. Right? It was funny, yeah.
Yeah, it's good when people give you love. Any other like football mentor, head coaches, or assistant coaches through your career?
I think Tim Muntzman for sure, and Zach Bradley. Zach Bradley probably doesn't get as much fame, but he was like a very good mentor, like a young coach to me and my brother, Luke Spang, the quarterback at Parkland. And he would kind of have us over sometimes, like after a loss, and get us a meal and like just talk to us about what we need to do better and how we need to develop as leaders to lead the team better to getting wins. And my junior year, we lost to Nazareth, and then he met with us, and that was like turn our season around. And we ended up winning the district championship.
Isn't it crazy the power of good coaching, positive coaching? And I do that with the kids I coach. They get so down on themselves. It's reminding like this thing is not over. I don't care if we're down 3 touchdowns. We're going to come back and win this. You have to think that way, or you're never going to come back, right? It's like, oh, we're losing. You're going to lose more, and that's that winning attitude. So, all right. So, we'll get to the gratitude question in a second. What does success at Lehigh University look like for you? Like in your mind, when you're done here, how would you be? Like, what would that definition of success be? What would have achieved to be successful in your mind?
Yeah, for sure. I'd say it's developing a lot of relationships with guys on the team, and really just enjoying my experience. And then on the field, I'd say just getting a good amount of playing time. Obviously, like you want to get playing time. That's not the biggest reason I left West Point or I came here. Like I just came to be on a good culture. So I want to enjoy my time on the team, make a lot of friends, and obviously I came to Lehigh because it's a good school, so I'd like to get a good job.
Yeah.
Once I graduate.
That's good. When you're making that decision, is that a decision that's kind of, I know you kind of alluded to it before, but is it impulsive, or you have to kind of plan it out because of transfer portal and all that stuff?
That was a very long decision I made. it was something I thought about for probably like a whole semester, like my sophomore year at West Point. And then once I finally decided to make the decision to leave, it's about 5 weeks of like paperwork at West Point to out process. And then the transfer portal is a whole nother process. I was fortunate enough that I already had a relationship with Coach Hunt, Coach Warren, Coach Cahill before he left, and they were willing to take me in right away. So I didn't have too stressful of a transfer portal experience.
Do you think that's common with athletes when they do the transfer? It's probably because they know some people they're going to.
I think, I'm not sure actually, but like from my experience, like some of the guys at Army that would leave they'd have like no other hope, and they'd just go out there and see who they can get. And then some guys would have relationships, but I think it depends on how you were recruited in high school.
What's this experience? I mean, when you come to Army, I guess you're a mix of underclassmen, and so you probably had that experience under your belt already. What's it like coming to Lehigh, a place you grew up knowing, they recruited you, so you kind of know it, but you're not a part of it, and now you're a part of it, and you're meeting all these new teammates and people. Do you look forward to that? It seems like you would.
100%, yeah. I think it's really cool to represent Lehigh Valley and be able to play in front of the home crowd still. And it's cool to have guys that I played against in high school like on my team now, and I'm building relationships with them. Cool. We're not smashing heads anymore. We're trying to
break your chops. Hey, you ran for 150 yards on us.
Yeah.
Any position changes in the future, or tailback's where you're at?
I think tailback is going to be where I'm at. Yep.
I feel like you'd be a great defensive back too. But did you play two-way in high school?
I was a linebacker in high school.
Oh yeah, you're hitting people. All right. Mental, emotional health. I love talking about this because we don't think we talk about it enough, and it is the fundamental foundation for everything we do. I don't think we could be high performers and be highly successful and have poor mental emotional health. Emotional regulation's out of whack. Like I just don't think that can happen, and that's through my experience, a lot of research and talking to cops and military guys. What's your experience with that? I'm sure in high school was kind of like fun and just happy-go-lucky, so to speak. I'm not saying it wasn't stressful. I'm not saying you weren't working hard. What's that like going to West Point where the expectations are through the roof and nobody's probably sitting there going, hey, Trey, you all right? How you feeling about not being on the depth chart where you go? I know you were like, nobody's having this conversation really. So how do you navigate that mentally and emotionally?
If you've had a hard week, obviously West Point, like you're sleep deprived and you got a long practice ahead of you, and you got to tell yourself like, it's just an opportunity to get better. That's what I would tell myself. And you got to go out there and get it done. And like you obviously have your teammates to lean on, so you can talk to them if you're really struggling. And I had my best friend at West Point. We'd really lean on each other before practices and stuff like that.
Is he still there?
He's still there. Yeah.
What position is he?
He was the same position as me. It's an H-back position, like blocking back. So.
Interesting. Yeah. It's weird. You probably like the physicality, right? Yeah, I seen that from you. You're like, all right, let's go. Any major injuries you sustained?
I was pretty fortunate enough to not have many. I had a couple, like one concussion. Broke my fingers, my arms when I was younger, but nothing crazy.
When you were going through your stuff at West Point, did you lean on your parents at all? I'm sure, like as a young man, you don't have all the answers, so you need that, like you said, that connection. Would you call them and just, hey, Dad, Mom, I'm struggling right now.
Yeah, definitely. Like in the beginning, I would call them almost every night, just checking in and like telling them about my days and trying to it's just emotional support. Like leaning on them. And my dad was great. He would come and pick me up whenever I wanted to come home. Like it'd be like once a month we'd get a pass. So he'd drive up and back 2 hours each way.
Wow, what a dad. For what, a weekend?
For a week, just a weekend. Yeah, just to be home for like a day and a half.
It means they couldn't wait to see you.
Yep.
You like dogs?
Yeah, I have a dog at home. Yep.
Okay, what kind of dog?
He's a little dog, little lap dog.
A little lap dog. I have one of the 10-pounders.
Yeah.
Would you meet Grace and Scout yet? You haven't been here that long. But
I haven't.
Therapy dogs, they're awesome. So hoping you get a chance. I know Scout is her handler's Stephen Romanek, officer, former athlete. So he hangs down at Goodman, and so Scout's got to know the athletes down there, and it's a pretty cool experience. Talking about organizational culture, I love talking about it. And I'm trying to not disparage, organizations, but just highlight the fact that how different they can be. We talked about Army, expectations are high. We know that. Essentially, you're training too for one day go into military. So I get that to some degree. What's your experience like when you are in a bad culture, in your opinion, versus when you're a good one? How do you show up differently? How does that affect your play and stability?
Yeah, I think mentally, it's like you want to show up and do well for a team that you love and like a coach that you like. If you have a coach that you don't have a lot of respect for, you're not going to want to do well for them and like put in the extra effort and like sacrifice that you need to make. And yeah, when you can feel that with everybody else as well. Like you can trust someone if you know that they love you as well. And that's just the biggest thing in the brotherhood of like a team.
Dude, you said the word love.
Yeah.
That's an amazing word. And you don't hear guys say that a lot. And I always routinely say, we need to love each other. When you love somebody, you're not going to hurt them. When you love somebody, you're going to support them.
Exactly.
And teammates are like, oh, this is a work. I'm trying to be successful. You can still love your teammates and be successful and perform at a high level. You don't need to tear them down to be successful. You support and encourage because your play on the field will speak for that and your character. So I'm glad you said that. Like loving on your teammates as a police, especially, we just don't love on each other enough. And so I'm really trying to set that example. So Lehigh's lucky to have you, man.
Yeah.
So gratitude is really important to me. It's helped me weather some storms in my life. So I like to ask people about gratitude. Or some things in your life that you're grateful for, maybe 2 or 3 things today Trey Tremba is grateful for.
I would say just the opportunity to be here, like new opportunities every day, but being here and being able to be surrounded by like great individuals, having a great coach and Coach Warren, Coach Hunt to inspire me every day, and then I have a great running back room. I love all those guys.
Yeah.
And we're always trying to help each other. It's a competition every day, but you wouldn't even realize it. It's just like a great culture to be in. And then just the opportunity to wake up every day and be healthy.
Dude, the opportunity to wake up. Man, you don't have to wake up.
Exactly.
You get to wake up. What an opportunity. I get the opportunity to sit on a podcast with Trey Tremba. Like, we got to be grateful for those things. I love that. Iron sharpens iron. I'm a big believer in that. So you saying that about the running back room, picking each other up, I mean, that's how you all get better.
Exactly.
Not tearing each other down, but giving 100%, supporting each other, and then before you realize, like, oh, I got much better at this, and you got better at this. And I'll tell you a story from last year because I think it's cool about football. When I got hired here last summer, I was on night shift. That's kind of where you start. And I'm driving around like, 12 or 1 a.m. and I hear yelling in the distance. And I'm on Asa Packer campus, and I drive, and I want to hear what this yelling's about. My job is to research this thing as a cop. And it was a players-only meeting behind a dorm. Team captains were yelling, motivating, positive, but like trying to bring the team together. So I parked, and I wanted to listen as a soldier, military, and a cop. I love that coach. And yeah, there was some passion, there's some yelling and some cursing, but the whole content of the message was like, it's up to us. It's not up to the coaches. It's not up to anybody else. It's up to us and us alone. And I got chills listening to that, and I said, they're going to have a good year. And I'm not saying I'm some prophet, but they went undefeated in the regular season because that team leadership with the players was incredible. And I could see the culture's, good culture.
Yeah.
But no culture's perfect. No
Correct.
culture's perfect. So what's your conflict resolution skills? If you're having, an issue with a teammate, how do you work through that?
I think the biggest thing is confronting it right away and not letting it build, and like not talking about each other, just address each other directly. And if someone's not upholding the standard on the team, you go and tell them right away. And you just don't let anything like below the standard pass, because if you let the standard drop, it's a new standard.
Wow, that's fascinating. That makes sense. Yeah. And I imagine players hold each other accountable too, right? In a good
exactly,
culture.
yeah.
Bad cultures, I'm sure they kind of trying to get one up and playing politics, and I've been a part of that both. So awesome, man. Well, I'm excited for your season this year. I know there's probably a lot of people on campus that are excited that you're here, that know your story and know football. I've been talking about you at the police department, trying to hype you up and just say, like, this is a guy worthy of the opportunity. He's worthy of the support because his character is so high. His talent is good, sure, but like, he's a good person. And you want to see a good person be successful. Nothing worse than seeing a good person who's working so hard not get to where they want to go, for me at least. So I'm excited to support you, and through the ups and the downs this year, I think you're going to have a great year. And, thanks for coming to Lehigh.
Yeah,
thanks for being on the show, too.
No problem.
Thanks, man.
Thank you.
Take care.
Hey, Lehigh, don't take your seatbelt off just yet. We have a special surprise for you. This episode with Trey would not be complete without hearing from our new head football coach. So we recently had a chat with the new Vandergrift family head football coach, Richard Nagy. Coach Nagy steps into this role after 3 remarkable seasons as our defensive coordinator. Seasons that helped transform the Mountain Hawks into one of the most dominant teams in the FCS. I got to watch a couple games this year. Incredible. The defense Coach Nagy led ranked among the very best in the nation. In 2025, Lehigh allowed just 70 rushing yards per game, the fewest in all of the FCS. Our entire staff earned the Dick Biddle Patriot League Coaching Staff of the Year award, and we brought home back-to-back league titles. This success does not happen by accident. Led by our former head coach, Kevin Cahill, Coach Nagy is now charged with carrying the mantle of excellence forward. But Coach Nagy's leadership philosophy was forged long ago from 40 years of college football experience, a game he loves. That early blend of being an MVP running back as a player to now coaching has planted seeds that have grown into a lifelong philosophy, developing the whole player, on the field and off. Time and time again, Coach Nagy has shown up to lead teams and develop young men of character. Off the field, Rich is a devoted husband to his wife, Erica, and a proud father of 2 daughters, Jordan and Erin. As he begins this new chapter as head coach at Lehigh, his message is clear. The Lehigh football program will build on the foundation already laid. They will keep a strong staff together, and they will compete for another Patriot League title. And they will prepare every young man in this program to succeed in football, in the classroom, and in life. Lehigh, meet your new head coach, Rich Nagy.
Coach, good morning. Thanks for being with us. I want to talk to you about organizational culture. Being a new head football coach here, but being in the profession for just about 40 years, how important is healthy organizational culture for you for team performance and success?
I think it's paramount, to be honest with you, to whatever success you're going to have. I think at the end of the day, getting everybody moving in the same direction is such a critical piece, and really, for a common goal, is no matter what they're doing. Because I think you get groups of individuals together, but the common goal of a team or an organization, I think, when you're trying to put that all together and put all the pieces together, like you have to have a lot of people who believe in the same core values, so to speak, and really what the mission is overall, and being able to hold each other accountable to the goals and standards that you're setting, because if people are doing their own thing or veering off on their own path, it can be destructive to what you're trying to get accomplished.
In your experience, I'm sure you've been on teams where talent-driven, technique-driven, which are all really important things, but maybe the organizational culture piece, making sure players are okay at home, making sure their studies are going good, that extra little bit, I'm sure you've been around, that wasn't something that was leaned on heavily. How does that affect team morale going forward through a season?
Yeah, no, I think it really does, because I think at the end of the day, if everything's going good, I think, winning games, all those things, it sort of masks some things sometimes. But so I think you really learn about yourself in the tougher moments. And I've been in situations like that where we've had success, but then maybe we didn't spend enough time, on the pieces of the success. And I think there's always got to be I learned a long time ago when I first started coaching. I worked for a guy by the name of Ken O'Keefe, was a head coach. It really, taught me a lot, about the cultural piece and how important it was. And really opened my eyes, because it wasn't just X's and O's and it wasn't all those things. It's like you're going to play like X's and O's a certain way and styles, and I think you're doing that to fit the personnel you have. But at the end of the day, it's more about how you're doing it. Like how hard are you doing it? Like how much are your players doing it for each other? And how much do they really like and respect each other? Because I think if you don't have those things, the other parts don't matter.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And following up on that, I'm sure your leadership has evolved over time. I mean, you're coming up, I think next year is your 40th year.
40, yeah.
Yeah, wow, congratulations. That's amazing.
Thanks.
So I'm sure at 25, you're 35, you weren't the same leaders, 25, 45, 35. So how has that evolution affected you as your coaching philosophy when you show up in the locker room each season?
No, definitely. I think no matter how long you do something, how long you always got to take the approach that this is lifelong learning. We can never, I don't know if you ever have a moment in time where you think you have it perfected or anything. And, I think there's constant change, that goes on. And from when I was growing up as a kid to what the guys face today are way different things, with social media and all the other pieces that they have to endure or are part of their lives. And I think we got to keep everything in mind, as we're going through it. I know I'm not going to claim to know everything that they're going through, but I know, like I said, there's differences, and I have to keep growing to understand what those are. I have to keep having communication with them to know what their lives are at this point in time. So those things happen.
Oh, that's a great thing. I think your players are lucky to play for somebody that looks at leadership through that lens. Now, doing a little research for you, I was looking back at your playing days, being an MVP running back at Trinity College. Now, as a head coach, I'm sure you have to be impartial, you can't have favorites, and have to be equitable. But when you're watching the running back room, because you played that position at a high level, do you pick up on things more than other positions? Do you kind of just let the positional coaches handle what they need to do?
I think my role is to support our coaches, and to interject when I see things. But at the same point in time, like the first week or so of practice, I was just walking around drills to hear the language and communication our guys were using, because I may say things differently, but I wanted to make sure our communication was clear, and I'm a very big believer in that. If our communication is unclear, we're going to create uncertainty, and then if we create uncertainty, we're going to have problems. So as much clarity as we can have. I know it's a constant work in progress. So I love the running backs. Obviously played it, but I've coached defense my whole career, except for I think it was a brief 1 month stint. I was a running back coach at Western Michigan. When we were having some transition there, but yeah, it's a fun group, and like all our groups, and I think that's the great part about our team. I think you just have a bunch of great people, and I think that's the thing we look forward more than anything.
Talk to you now about Trey Tremba, the new transfer from West Point in Army. He's a local kid, which I think is really neat when you can bring a local kid into the fold in any situation, any club. When you look back at his career, coming out of Parkland High School, had the success he had, gets recruited by money schools, but he chooses Army. Lafayette, has that military law enforcement background in his family, I think really influenced him. And now 2 years later, he's back home at Lehigh in this area. I had the chance to sit down and talk with him. Fascinating young man. I hate to even use the word young because he's got a lot of experience. I feel like he really cut his teeth down there. And I'm just curious what his journey looks like to you. What do you have? What thoughts do you have about it?
No, I think he's obviously recruited him. We recruited him coming out of high school, and he chose Army, and understandable. You can it's sometimes I get it's a hard thing to turn down, and especially with his background and everything he had. But we're so excited when he decided to come here because again, I think he's mature beyond his years, and he's very grounded. And I don't think moments are too big for him, so to speak. And you're recruiting somebody who's leaving a program, and we have an established starter already in place with Luka Yoder, who's Conference Player of the Year, and but he still chose us, and I think that was a great thing for us because not only does he have the depth and talent and all the things that he has, but just the makeup and just his ability, his leadership ability. You're not going to West Point if you don't have leadership ability, and that's one thing I think we do a great job here. Is we're trying to develop our guys in all phases, and leadership is a very important one, so that they're not only leading themselves, so to speak, but they're able to lead others and guide others. And having somebody of his makeup and the type of person he is was just an unbelievable thing for him to choose us.
Yeah, that's great to hear. When I sat down with him, he mentioned the organizational culture part. He was buried on the depth chart at Army, and one of the reasons he wanted to come here, was to get some more opportunities. And we talked about Luke had an amazing year, Conference Player of the Year, and he said, "Well, I want to be around great players, and I want to be in a good culture." So hearing that, I'm sure as a head coach, has to make you feel good that players talk about the culture part, not just getting playing time.
Oh yeah, no, I think that old saying is true. You surround yourself with great people, you'll do great things. You surround yourself with people who don't want to do great things, you're not going to do great things. So, and I think that's an important piece for us, in the recruiting process. What drives them? What are his ultimate goals? I think when you look at Lehigh, we've had football success here the last couple of years, which has been unbelievable. But at the same point in time, this is a great school, one of the tops in the country, and the challenges and things of going to school here are real. So you have to want those challenges. You have to want, get up early for classes, study a little harder than you might at some other places, and when you get that person who wants that, that's how they live their life. And I've been around guys, where may be great athletically, but don't really have their life or priorities in order, and they had talent to possibly go into the NFL, but the other part of their lives, because I think we talk about it here all the time, like how you do anything is how you do everything. So if you have that mentality, this is a great place for you. If you don't, it's going to be hard, because there is a lot of things that you have to manage in your career here.
Wow, fascinating. I love to hear about the inside at Lehigh. I think that's a great recruiting piece. People should watch this video. Come here, do some hard things, but level up and become not only a great player, but student person. Yeah, I think that's fantastic. All right, Coach, last question. And I love to ask this of high performers, because the behind this, people see what they see on the field or on the TV or in a social media clip. But next year's your 40th year in coaching. How have you maintained a passion? I imagine you have to have support at home. Like, how do you stay in this profession as long as you have been?
Yeah, I mean, you talk about support at home. I got a great wife and two great kids, and two girls. One's getting married this summer, so really excited about that. But it's, without them supporting what I do or believing in what I do, and especially the kids, as they've gotten older, they see that it's more than just the football, and they understand that. And I think it just goes back to like when I was coming out of high school. I was the first one in my family to go to college. I would not have gone to college if it wasn't for football and athletics. I have two brothers who played baseball. So athletics drove us to be able to go to college and get degrees and really change the direction of family and lives and the futures of our kids and down the road grandkids and things. So, but it's just, I knew the impact it had on me, and I felt like I wanted to have the same impact on others, and teaching, coaching, those types of things where I felt like I best fit, and never knew it would lead to here. Be quite honest with you, it was just work, and fortunately people just kept offering me new opportunities and kept doing things. But I think early in your career you're sort of driven by the chase a little bit of jobs and levels and things, and like I said, I was fortunate to do some of that, but the last 10 years it's really been, it helped me to recenter what I was really doing, and that's where coming to Lehigh I think has been such a great thing, because you have high level athletic performers, and we're gonna have four guys possibly have a chance to be in NFL camps off of last year's team, and so you're coaching a high level player, and but at the same time you're just coaching a high level person who also is chasing the academics. We got a whole bunch of guys, a couple in particular right now, who are formulating business plans, for when they graduate, and they're already started, and it's fun to watch their excitement with those things. And, so to have all those pieces together and to get them to understand that this next 4 or 5 years when you come to Lehigh is not about just the 4 or 5 years. The 4 or 5 years, yes, it's going to be fun. It's going to be great. It's going to be hard work. But the benefits to graduating and becoming an alum, and we do expose our guys to our alums at a very early point in their career for those reasons, so they can get to meet them, get to know them, and get to know their stories, and get to understand the paths that they chose. And I can't say enough great things about our alums, and the time they spend with our guys. And it's not just about jobs and things. It's really the whole thing, just like when they're here as players, developing the relationships, and when you develop real relationships, so you got some deep bonds. And I think we do a great job with our guys. Our guys do a great job of developing real relationships while they're here, which are going to carry them through friendships for the rest of their life, but then the relationships with other people who touch them every day, and not be afraid to have real conversations and put your phone down and be a little deeper. And but no, it's so much fun to see the total person and development of them as they're here.
Give me a helmet, Coach. I'm ready to go now. That was amazing.
I appreciate it.
No, I really appreciate your time. We're really rooting for you guys. I mean, the success you guys had the last few years, to see the camaraderie. I've even got to talk to some players on campus just on my normal course of my duties, and they're all respectful. And I'm like, all right, 8-0, 9-0. I kept going out the record as the season went on, and just that brought everyone together, and it was really cool. So we're wishing you all the best going forward, and congratulations on your appointment, head coach.
Oh, thanks again.
Thanks for watching Labs Unleashed. If this conversation inspired you, challenged you, or made you think differently, subscribe wherever you listen to your podcast. Share it with a friend or a colleague building something new. And if you have a story or idea that deserves to be unleashed, we want to hear from you. Until next time, stay curious, keep cooking, and unleash the best version of you.